UTech, good morning. It is good to be here. All protocols observed, I will continue on that fashion. I want to say I'm very happy that I was invited today to speak to you about fintech and how technology can contribute towards Jamaica's growth and development. I'm Dr. Andre Haughton, your Shadow Minister on Science, Technology, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship. And since given this Shadow Minister portfolio, I've been rigorously investigating our technological stance and getting a better understanding of where Jamaica is and what we ought to do in order for us to move forward. Now, it is important for us to put things in context. In the 1950s, when countries recognized that they were embarking on a technological boom, many countries from Asia, North America, and Europe quickly jumped on the technological boat. China saw the need and they began producing technological goods and as well as began to equip their population with the right technological knowledge that they need in order to, one, build these goods, and in order to, two, operate these goods when they are built. Singapore also jumped on the technological boat. Taiwan, Japan, the UK, and the United States jumped on the technological boat. Jamaica, we jumped on the sugar boat and the banana boat, which I have a statement that I make to my students every time I want them to understand economic value. I say to them, Singapore and Jamaica export a container of chips each. The value of Singapore's container is 50 million US dollars. The value of Jamaica's container, 100,000 US dollars. The difference here, Singapore is exporting microchips while Jamaica is exporting banana chips. So the idea is that countries began realizing that in order for them to have the exponential growth that they require to provide high income to their population and their residents, they needed a growth booster, sort of a trampoline, and technology was that trampoline. Coming out of the 1950s, Jamaica entered the 1960s as an independent country, and at that time, agriculture was one of our main industries. To complement the agricultural industry, being the free nation that we are, we embarked on the expansion of bauxite industries. We embarked on the expansion of the tourism industry. And we laid the foundation for light garment and light manufacturing throughout the time. Throughout the 60s was Jamaica's most productive era. If you look at 1969, we had growth of upwards of 7%. We had productivity growth upwards of 9%. Going into the 70s, we banked heavily on this tourism, we banked heavily on the bauxite, and we maintained our stance in agriculture. Albeit these were important industries. But when you're talking about the future, you're talking about long-term growth and development, then technology has a role to play. In 1950, technology represented 0% of China's GDP. Today, technology represents over 32% of China's GDP. If I were to say to you, what percent of Jamaica's GDP is technology, what would your answer be? Exactly. We do not know because it is not measured. So the first thing we have to do as a nation is to understand that technology complements all the other industries that exist. You're talking about fintech, you're talking about finance in healthcare, finance in education, finance in technology in healthcare, technology in education, technology in agriculture, technology in all the other industries that exist today. So the first thing Jamaica has to do is to understand how to measure technology and its applications to the other industries that exists across the length and breadth of the country. We have to remember that now financial technology refers to the innovation and the technological solutions aimed at enhancing the delivery of financial services. If you go to the bank at this time and you want to open an account, you have to fill out a lot of documents. But more importantly, a simple thing as KYC, which is know your customer, our Jamaican banks don't really use that sort of technological impetus in their doing business. And it's important, we still use the same JP recommendation system. We still use the same system that we need persons who don't really know you that well to give you a recommendation, when we simply can have two-factor identification recognition. Because now the world is moving away from paper-based interaction. The world is moving away from paper-based references to now getting an understanding of who you are, who your circle is, and exactly how knowledge of your person can enhance the information that the firm has and enhance the profitability of the firm. Fintech is very important for Jamaica because we are a developing country. When you look at fintech solutions across Africa, their aim is to really bridge the gap between those who are banked and those who are unbanked. When Jamaica established its first fintech wallet, Link, as it is called, it was marketed to persons who already have bank accounts and credit cards. So when you go to a particular place to pay with Link, it took 4 steps for you to pay, while it only takes 2 steps for you to pay with your credit card. So obviously, a well-thinking, efficient, rational Jamaican is going to use their credit card first to pay instead of searching through the phone for Link, opening Link, scanning the QR code, getting things done, putting in the amount, whatever the case may be, verifying that the customer is valid, and so on and so forth. When fintech solutions are being established in developing countries, these fintech solutions are, one, not 100% internet-based. So if you are not on the internet, you can still access that financial service, M-Pesa, and so on, that have been used to integrate the unbanked into the financial services in Mali, in these African countries. They are able to send credit, send money via text messages that are off the internet, SMS messages, while our mobile wallet is built on an internet platform. When in Jamaica, we know that we only have 55% internet coverage across the island, so that only 55% of the country will be able to use that sort of technology in order to send and receive money. But alas, it was established not for them, because they are already a part of the banking sector, persons who live in the urban areas and so on. They are fully integrated into the banking system. So they may or may not necessarily need the fintech solution urgently, but they are already a part of the system. The persons who are unbanked, the persons at Charles Garden Market, the persons who operate in the craft market as an example, persons who operate small businesses inside our communities, inside Mount Salem, inside Granville, inside Catherine Hall, these communities, they are the ones who we should market the fintech solutions to. You know where them bring it? Night market up at Devon House, where sophisticated people are who already have their own scanning machine with the internet for you to pay with a credit card, who have already understand bank transfer and can sell their goods via bank transfer. It is the unbanked in our society that most of these fintech solutions should cater to first. a large percentage of the Jamaican population remain unbanked. And it is these persons who, because their money also play a role in the money multiplier of economic locomotion across the country, we want to be able to record their transactions. We want to be able to understand how these transactions contribute to the commerce that is taking place in the country and the economic activity that Jamaica conducts and transacts on a daily basis. Our estimates show that about half of the economy is informal. And what this means is that we have to now design methodologies to get them formal and also methodologies in order for them to participate in the formal economy in a fulsome way. And fintech solutions play an important role in how this is done. Everybody know about Bitcoin. Everybody know about these types of digital currencies and digital wallets that are established to facilitate instant payment of cash without a middleman. Now, because the global monetary system is so interconnected and intertwined, what has been happening is that countries' governments have recognized the importance of digital currency towards global transactions and towards economic activity in their local jurisdictions. As a result, many other currencies have been developed. You're talking about Litecoin, you're talking about Doge, you're talking about all these other coins that have been established in substitute to Bitcoin. Other substitutes that have been established are also what we call CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. Now, the main difference between a non-centralized, decentralized currency like Bitcoin that operates on a blockchain that has no intermediary in the issuing of the currency versus a central bank CBDC is that the central bank CBDC is to replace the cash that is in your pocket, while Bitcoin is an alternative that exists for global transactions. So say Jamaica has a CBDC, which we do, and it is important for us to note that our CBDC is not built on a blockchain platform. So that's the first mistake that we made. So we're trying to do something, but every time it's just for marketing and show, it is not being done properly in order to assist the country to improve, to solve these challenges that we face in providing an avenue through which money can be distributed, and also we can entertain and engage cross-border transactions. So the first thing is that it's not on a blockchain platform. So it makes it redundant right away from the beginning, because you need that transparency that the blockchain provides in order for you to have trust and confidence in this particular instrument as an instrument that is secure and can provide payment for what you want to get done. Another thing, because it is a local currency, it is no different from the Jamaican dollar in your bank account. It is no different from the Jamaican dollar in your pocket. So let's say, for example, we want this wallet to be able to accept money from abroad. For example, like a Zelle or a Cash App or whatever the case may be. It cannot do it because when you talk about cross-border transactions, the CBDC is stuck within the Jamaican jurisdiction. So we earn most of our foreign currency from tourism and from remittances. So say, for example, I am in the United States and I have my grandmother all the way up there in, I don't know, Kemshot. And I want to send my grandmother some money via a digital wallet. I cannot do it because, one, we do not have the digital wallet solution here in Jamaica that can facilitate that transaction. And two, she might be up there in Kemshot without the internet. So how am I going to send money to her if she does not have a mobile solution that is valid without the internet? And these are things that we have to think about, because this has always been Jamaica. We try to put the carriage before the horse, and we expect the horse to push the carriage instead of understanding our idiosyncratic challenges that we face and put in the necessary quote-unquote solutions to solve these challenges. But what we do as Jamaicans, we see the world doing something, say, oh, that looks like a good idea. We need to copy that here. But we do it in such a way where we are just doing it for our friends and our friends' in our so-called uptown structures. We do not recognize that the marketplace is broader than just the fancy look. It is more vast than just the pretty pictures and the pretty banners. It is a locomotion of economic activity where money acts as the lifeblood of movement, of transactions that are necessary for us to understand where this money is coming from, where is this money going, and fundamentally, how can we make this money multiply more rapidly throughout the domestic communities so that we can have a greater money multiplier and economic activity as a result. So that now we find ourselves in limbo because NCB established Link, and Link was supposedly to be this global angel that is going to save us from the financial exclusion that a lot of the companies, a lot of people find themselves in. But what has happened? Link has not lived up to its expectations. American people, they use Cash App and Zelle so frequently. It's like second nature. And Jamaicans, we are so Americanized that a solution like this would be welcomed by everyone if it functioned in the right way. But it has not functioned in the right way. It has not solved the innate problems that it set out to solve in the initial stanza. And as a result, Link is dying. But let every adversity give rise to an opportunity for greatness. There is always solutions to whatever problems we face. And a friend of mine said it to me. There is no big problem. All we have is a problem that we need to break up into smaller problems, and we find solutions to those small problems. It's like a big word, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. But if you break it up in smaller chunks, then you recognize that this word is only a composition of smaller syllables, which the syllables are composition of letters. And as a result, we can now understand how this big word is created if we understand that we can break it up into smaller chunks. The economy is no different. And this is what we have to begin to understand. We have to begin to understand that no more than ever Jamaica has to internalize where we are. And we have to look at our own domestic problems and to use these global examples to provide and find global solutions. And it's not about friend and company, right? It's not about our friend own that business, so we're giving them the contract, or our cousin own that business, so we're giving them the contract. It is about who is going to provide the most efficient solution, the solution that can solve the problems that the average Jamaican faces on a day-to-day basis, because this is the only way that we're going to move the economy forward. And it's fundamental. Average income in Jamaica is about $7,000 per person. In order for us to reach our quote-unquote Vision 2030 goals, we need average income to move from $7,000 per person to at least $13,000 per person. This is like an 80% increase in average income, which means that if we're looking at a 5% increase in economic activity per year, we need at least 16 years in order for us to achieve that increase in income. If we're looking at a 10% increase in income on an annual basis, we need at least 8 years in order for us to achieve that income. In 2016, the government hypothesized that the Jamaican economy should be growing by 5% in 4 years, the typical 5 in 4. I know many of you recall. But what happened? Because we did not make the fundamental changes in our economic locomotion, we did not provide the fundamental support to our industries, we did not provide a trampoline of technological services that can catapult these industries forward, we have found ourselves in 2025 We're coming out of negative growth in 2024. While our Caribbean counterparts, Guyana, ranked as the #1 growing country in the world, 40% growth. Our counterparts, Barbados, St. Vincent, are growing upwards of 4% per annum. They don't have more potential than us. Their people are not as brilliant as us. Their people are not more industrious than us. But because our people have not been given the right support services and the decisions that are being made on the country's behalf are not being made on a basis to uplift the grassroots of people out of the bowels of poverty, but they are made to support monopolies and oligopolies in many of key industries and sectors. And these are things that we have to look at, because we have to begin to understand that Jamaica is a nation of such remarkable people. We have over 3 million people living here. It makes no sense we make business decisions for 100 people when we need to make real economic decisions to benefit 3 million people. The government has been on an agenda to increase employment, which they have done. And we must commend them for that. But we have to recognize that when you have employment increasing based on economics, what we call Haughton's law, you also need GDP to be increasing. So what Haughton's law says is that there's a negative relationship between unemployment and GDP. So when unemployment is falling, meaning that more people are being employed, GDP is growing because you are increasing the amount of people who are in the production process. But Jamaica defies this law, right? What we have is that we have more people being employed, so unemployment is falling, and GDP is also falling. So we have a too many cook, spoil the broth sort of situation where we have too many people being infused into the production process without the necessary training and development that they need. So what happens? Whenever a company finds themselves into productivity challenges, they tend to hire more people instead of hiring the right technological inputs that they need to complement the existing labor that they have so that labor can become more productive. Instead of upskilling the labor that they have so that they know how to manipulate the technological instruments that are now being developed to enhance their business, they hire more people. So we always end up hiring more people, and as a result, our labor productivity has been going down. Our total factor productivity, which is a combination of labor and capital instruments, are also going down. And we need them to change course and to embark on an upward trajectory. What does this mean? This means that we have to now begin to recognize the importance of technology. We have to begin to recognize that we missed the technological boat in the 1950s. We missed it in the 1960s. We missed it in the 1970s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. We cannot afford to miss it in 2025. And it is serious because Jamaica has become a talk shop where governments come and they sit and talk. Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to create smart city here. We're going to do this, that. But they have been in power for so long, and we have not seen these changes being made. It's just lip service to say to you that, yes, we have this in mind, but we don't have it in action. And it is the action that we need now as a country in order for us to move forward eloquently. In Singapore learned from Jamaica. They came here, and our renowned Nobel laureate from the Caribbean, Sir Arthur Lewis, devised this theory that we need to industrialize through invitation. So what we're going to do as a government, we're going to put the right infrastructure in place, right? Buildings, cheap electricity, access to capital for those foreign firms, access to labor for those firms. And we're going to invite them here to build industries so that we can engage our people in productive activity. We tried, and it didn't work. It didn't work for many reasons. One of those reasons is that labor was one of the only components that we were adding to these production processes. And it was not just labor, it was cheap labor. So the high level of education, the high level of understanding that we were hoping that would engage these productive processes, we ended up just sewing sleeves and blouses, which, come on, man. When you look at Jamaica, we are such brilliant people. If you go to NASA, there are Jamaicans there. You go to the biggest engineering firm in the world, Jamaicans are there. You go to neuroscience, Jamaicans are the best in the world. So wherever you go as it relates to application of knowledge, Jamaicans are there and they are playing an important role there. But when you internalize and you look home, we seem to be scattered like an ant's nest. We seem not to be as industrious and working towards creating that honey like a colony of bees. We have to now begin to realize that we are a nation of people and each and every one of us has a role to play. And in playing that role, we must begin to realize that our productivity, which is output per person, is fundamental for the country's output and for the country to grow and for us to move our GDP from $7,000 per person to the $13,000 per person that the United Nations require as a benchmark for a developed country. I cannot overemphasize that now more than ever we have to begin to recognize that the government has a role to play in incubating the country's ambitions to participate in global trade, global commerce, and to understand our position as a developing, small island developing nation in the world of global business and commerce. As I said, small island developing state, we are susceptible to external shocks, right? We are susceptible to hurricane, we're susceptible to whatever other global geopolitical occurrences are taking place. If you remember the war between Russia and Ukraine, push up commodity prices. We import commodities, right? And as a result, it pushed up our import bill. What is happening now, where the world is internalizing, you take a country like the United Kingdom, who has been exiting the EU for the last decade and a half. Brexit, they call it, right? And what has happened is that because England recognized that the euro is predominantly controlled by France and Germany, they cannot relegate their pound to the euro, which is controlled by foreign nations. As a result, and it is important for us to understand economics, if a country is a part of an economic union and they do not share that common currency, that country is like 1 foot in and 1 foot out. They do not see your economic union as something viable for them to join holistically. Where we are in the Caribbean, the OECS has been a successful economic union. And what my research shows is that in order for Jamaica and other Caribbean countries to fully benefit from this economic union, we must also have a common currency between us and the other islands, which is very important. It's a political issue, but it's more an economic issue. And we must ensure that going forward as a country, economics trump politics in whatever our international relations are with the other countries in the Caribbean and the other countries in the world. Trade, which is inter-regional trade, intra-regional trade, is the lowest in the Caribbean compared to all other trading blocks across the world. Why? Because when you look at Europe, right, you have Germany making machinery, cars, etc. France making wine, liqueur, champagne, cognac. You have England making containers to send out here to pack up all the goods and send back. But you have different countries making different products that they can trade amongst themselves, right? But in the Caribbean, we tend to focus on the same products, sun, sun, and sea. And even when we do make products, they're agricultural. So Barbados grow bananas, Jamaica grow bananas. Barbados grow sugarcane, Jamaica grow sugarcane. There is no real coordinated economic effort in the Caribbean that says that, hey, listen, we're going to grow this, you produce that, and then we have trade amongst ourselves so that we don't have to rely on major trading partners like the United States, China, and Russia, and UK, and Europe, and so on. These are things that we have to begin to think about because technology is going to play an important role in how we coordinate our productive efforts to achieve maximum efficiency, to achieve maximum productivity, and to achieve economic cohesion between us and our neighbors. Currently, intra-regional trade in the Caribbean is less than 5%. Intra-regional trade in the EU is 40%. So you see the big gap between how we operate and how they operate. And it is important as technological practitioners that you recognize this and you do what is necessary to understand it in its fullness. So when you become managers of companies, when you become practitioners of government, when you become the next prime minister, the next minister of finance, whatever it is that your ambition is, you will know exactly how to approach our country's challenges so you know exactly how to move the country progressively forward. And that is very important. Jamaica has a lot of potential. But what we tend to do as Jamaicans is always externalize and blame our problems on external factors. So we didn't grow last year, we blame it on beryl. But other countries in the Caribbean also were impacted by beryl, but they grew. We didn't grow last year, we blame it on other external factors. But other countries last year have other external factors and they too did not grow. Agriculture in Jamaica, impacted by drought sometime, impacted by flood sometime. There is no happy medium. Michael Manley said we need micro dams. And these micro dams have been circulating as a thought since the 1970s, never to be implemented in order to assist the agricultural sector to move forward. A lot of the ideas that were floating around in the 70s and 80s and even the 60s are still relevant to Jamaica now. As my daughter says, Japan is in 2050, while Jamaica is still stuck in 2070, in 1970. You following? Because technology has allowed these countries to catapult themselves to the future, while technology, or the lack thereof, has allowed Jamaica to remain in the past. And when you talk to young people across the length and breadth of the country, these young people would like to see Jamaica catapult itself into the future. As a matter of fact, they themselves have been catapulted into the future and the rest of the country have been left behind. Let me give you a story. As I said, we run the SAFE program, right? Through sports, arts, financial literacy, and enterprise support, SAFE. You can go check it out at www.assafejamaica.com to see all the work that we have been doing. So we host the Montego Bay futsal competition, right? And it's an economic event because lots of vendors come there and they sell goods and services are being sold. Teams playing jerseys, so they have to purchase those jerseys. It's an economic activity. You're following? So there's a lot of economic locomotion taking place. On the night of the finals, a young man came and said he wanted to contribute to some of the prizes. He said he made some money on TikTok and he's going to donate $50,000 to contribute to the prizes. So I'm saying to myself, if he makes some money on TikTok and him come to donate 50 grand, How much he make? How much he make? When me hear from a shout, the man a make upwards of 100,000 every night we out there. For the 10, 12 weeks we out there. So we believe that there's a physical economy that exists, right? Goods are being sold by vendors. There are bars that are there, children playing games, and these games are being sold, and a lot of economic activity taking place, and sponsors are there, and the sponsors are getting recognition. It's an economy as well. They are getting good value, brand value, etc., etc. But hidden that we didn't recognize is that there's an e-economy that exists through these social spaces via the internet that is providing the same amount of value or even more value than what we are seeing physically in front of us on the ground. And these young people are making full income from these internet platforms, even better income that you make waking up early in the morning, putting on a nice uniform and going to the work. But we take their thing for a joke because we don't understand it. But they do, and they are moving on. They are engaged in this global economic activity, this global e-commerce that is now fueling income. And if we are real with ourselves, then we might recognize that even though the average income in the physical economy is $7,000 per person per year, the average income on this internet economy, this TikTok, this mobile economy, might be even 13,000, might be 20,000 a year. These are the things that we need to investigate and measure in order to understand the true potential that exists in the Jamaican economy. And that is why we have made a pledge. The creative industry is important. We're going to facilitate its growth and development with a fund of $1 billion to assist them to build out their so-called social media scheme, to build out their interactions, to understand their e-economy better, and to provide a reasonable sort of support towards their economic activities that they do via the internet. And I believe this is very fundamental because the world, and you saw it, the world is moving away from just the physical economy to an e-economy that is of a greater scale and can provide greater value. And we saw it with COVID-19. When COVID came, the tourism industry declined by over 80%, but the BPO and the KPO industry remained resilient. I had a meeting with them last week. I had another meeting with them yesterday. It is one of the most robust industries, and they said it's not really an industry, but we classify it as an industry because they're saying they provide support to other industries. So they themselves can be considered as the BPO economy, as the KPO economy, rather than the BPO industry, because they service and intertwine. And they are like technology. They are technology. It's the same thing, even though technology is broader, but they fall in that technology bracket where it is a support, it is a trampoline to assist other businesses to move forward. $20,000 they said was invested in the BPO industry to promote it last year, while over 20 million US was invested in tourism. According to them, it takes 200 million to provide 10,000 jobs in the tourism industry, while it only takes 10 million to provide 10,000 jobs in the BPO and KPO sectors. So when you're looking at input to output, you're looking at dollar for dollar, you're looking at dollar per person to get them employed, because as practitioners, that is what we want. We want our people to be employed and to be able to earn the highest income possible. And that is why we said that we need to get rid of this minimum wage thinking. That's of the 1970s. Even a livable wage, Jamaicans should be able to afford themselves today. But most importantly, it's not the minimum wage or a livable wage, but our maximum potential that can afford us the ability to earn the maximum income that our efforts can give to us. And this is why institutions like the University of Technology, the University of the West Indies, Northern Caribbean University are so important to what we call human capital development, because this human capital development is what will contribute to moving Jamaica from a low income bracket to the high income bracket where we belong. Fundamental. And as a result, as educators, I am an educator myself and I'm very proud of it. And I always say to myself, I've been in the University of the West Indies in 2000, right? I left for 4 years when I went to study in England and I came back. And because I've always been surrounded by academics, whether pursuing academics or established academics, I've always taken the educational ability of the country for granted. Because when you're around smart people all the time, you don't really know what is happening outside. But when I joined politics and I started traversing the communities, it was at that time I start recognizing that there's a greater portion of the country with low human capital than those with high human capital. And it was an eye-opener for me because I didn't know so many people can't read. I didn't know so many people cannot compute arithmetic numbers. And it was an eye-opener, and it has been very disheartening for me to recognize that such large proportion of our country really need to get into education. And it's not just formal education through academics. We're talking about the foundation of education that has been afforded to them. And there are many factors that contribute to the low human capital ability of many of our people. One is that some of them can't really afford it. But two is that the neglect and the ambitions of our people have been minimized to the bare minimum. So that is why they speak so much of minimum wage. We should not be talking about minimum wage so often in a country of such remarkable people. We should be talking about how much billions are we going to make next year? How much billion US are we going to make in 2030? How much billions is Jamaica going to make in 2040? We need to be forward thinking with our approach towards economic management, and it begins with you. We're all leaders. Andre is a leader. Dwayne is a leader. The mayor was here, he's a leader. Winkle, big up yourself, a leader. Sophie, big up yourself, a leader. Everyone here, including you students of this third year group that has organized this conference, give yourself a round of applause. Look how brilliant your efforts are. It's the same level of brilliance that you are taking towards the work world. What you are learning now is how to collaborate to complete projects. You're learning good interpersonal relationship skills. You're learning to coordinate with your peers. You're learning to survive amongst your peers. And you're learning to execute amongst your peers. And I know that in every group, you have some persons who work harder than some. You have some persons who always be the leader in the group. They want to get everything done right away. And then you have one and two free rider who always a part of the group, always late for every meeting, always have something else to do, always when you turn up, want to make sure my name up on the paper. Then you have this one strict one and say, hey, listen, we're not putting your name on the paper, you know, because you don't do nothing. You don't do nothing, me tell you. And then you have this one compassion. It's something no saying don't do nothing, man. But write down your name, save me. That's how you go. That's how you go. This is the same sort of interpersonal relationship skills that are going to take place when you enter the world of work, when you enter the world of business, when you own your own business, when you join a corporate conglomerate. So the activities that you participate in school, it's not just about learning 1 + 1 = 2, or learning to speak eloquently, or learning to read a paragraph or comprehend a paragraph. It's about how you survive amongst your peers, how you motivate yourself amongst your peers, how you motivate your peers, how you interact, and most fundamentally, the level of productivity that you inculcate in each other. And I'm very proud of what you have done today. I'm very proud of the foot that you have put forward. And I'm happy to see that young people in Jamaica understand the importance of not just technology, but technology in finance towards the positive progression of this country that we call our island home. I'm going to leave it there today. I want to thank you again for inviting me here to speak, and I hope that what I've spoken about will resonate with you, and you do not become a part of the status quo of talking, but you become and continue to be students of action. Okay.
I adhere to the protocol established. I am Nikita Sinclair Kelly. Good morning. On behalf of the UTech Western Business Seminar Group, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Andre Haughton. We truly appreciate the time and effort you have sacrificed to be here with us today. Your presence has played a key role in making this event a memorable one. Your presentation on our theme today was both informative and impactful. The insights you shared have given us all a deeper understanding of how to use technology in our specified field. And we have persons from general management, accounts, finance, HR. So yes, we will actually use these inspiring words to think critically and take action in our respective fields. And as you say, the action that we need as a country to move forward eloquently.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Haughton,
Thank you,
for your invaluable contribution today. And please accept this token of our appreciation from the UTech Western Business Seminar.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. And if you want us to continue the discussions, you can find me on social media, on IG or TikTok or whatever. Dr. Andrea, DRANDRE, right? Dr. Andrea. Looking forward.
The members of the UTech Group Western Campus Seminar 2024-2025 promised not to join the banana boat, but the technology boat.